Over the last 12 years, she has photographed, traveled, and lived all over the U.S. and beyond. She currently lives in Milwaukee as a freelance photographer and is planning her escape back to the little farm in central Illinois. I have a feeling we're going to hear about that tonight. Give it up for Kat.
I can't tell you how I'm so glad the beer break is right after this. I'm ready. Okay, this is a photograph, the earliest photograph I could find of the farmhouse that my family, the farmhouse on the land my family purchased in 1938. As a kid, I always looked at these pictures, you know, imagining how it looked. My great-grandparents lived there, my grandparents, my mom lived there, and then I did. So when I was looking at these, I think everyone has that experience of going back to, or looking at the places where they've grown up and seeing how it's changed. And even as a kid, I was living there at the time and thinking, wow, I can't believe how different it is. And I tried to get away from there as much as I could, but even when you go other places, there's things that remind you of your childhood, and I can't help but think about when I see a tractor tire, all its many uses. A sandbox, which doubles as a swimming pool, you put plastic in it, or you can just get inside of it, someone can push you, or even better yet, find a steep hill, and you can go down it. I got into photography about 10 years ago. And one of the first things I wanted to do was focus on the people that lived on the farm that I grew up on, people I knew or I didn't, that died before I was born. And this is my aunt when she graduated high school on the left, and that was her present day. This is inside the house that I grew up in. We actually moved out of it when I was about 12 years old, and it's been abandoned. And the first self-portrait I ever did, which is on the right, was going back inside the house and photographing myself in there. It's very ghostly, creepy. And then I focused mostly on the people that lived there, and at the time I was living far away, so I would just try to take photographs of items of theirs. So I kind of made these mini tombs of my grandparents and put them in these little bottles and photographed them. And this is the actual house that I grew up in, and this was when my mom was a kid, and these are the pictures I would look at and be amazed how much it had changed when I was growing up, because they had actually added on to it, and things were just little things I could say, oh, the porch isn't there, and all those little tiny things I would focus on. On the left is how I remembered it as a kid, and on the right, that's a picture of it after no one had lived in it for about 10 years. But now they used to kind of keep the land trimmed around it, but at this point they just sort of let it go, and the nature around it is kind of taking over. So the trees go inside and outside of the house now. There's some mushrooms and all kinds of weird little plants growing inside of there. The farmland is about 100 acres, and it's been many things, like a dairy farm. We've had cattle, horses. On the left is how I remembered it. I could just walk out of my house and I'd go up to the fence, and they were doing horses duty. And at one point they decided to grow Christmas trees there. But now that whole entire field, I can't even see those houses. This is the view from my backyard. Those houses, you can't even see them anymore because it's all trees. And now you can even, I don't need to walk out to the fence. I could just walk out my front door and there'd be a horse there, because they've just taken the fence and extended into the yard. And then I brought some people there, so I have some friends in this photograph. There's Aaron there. At one point I stopped focusing mostly on the people and started just focusing on the house. And this is a picture of my old bedroom, which was originally my mom's bedroom, and on the right is, I took this picture 10 years ago, but no one had lived there then. Well, even when I walk into the house, I start to look at I zone in on little items that remind me of my childhood, and this is a great example of it. Those little spots on the wall were actually made from toothpaste that I had used to hang my Teen Bopper magazine clippings, River Phoenix, I was totally in love with. And and I can't believe I painted over this, that was pink, and then I painted over the toothpaste with yellow, and it still ate through the paint. When I walk into my brother's old bedroom, I can look at the hole in the ceiling where the light is coming in, but what I really look at is on the right below the light. There's these little spots, and that was made from banana. My brother thought if he stuck a banana in a fan, it would slice it up like in a cartoon and it would go flying. We were sitting underneath with like a cereal bowl, it just went all over us and all over the ceiling. This is the basement of the house, and I mean, I could look at all the debris on the ground and like how sad it is, but I can't help but look at the paint peeling off the wall because I remember when we painted it blue, well actually I don't remember painting, it was blue when we painted it red. I don't know where the yellow came from, so it must have been when my mom was a kid. I don't know. This was a painting I did in high school. I don't have a picture of the original, what it looked like, but it was actually a mermaid like floating through and had like made this paper mache face and hands. And we left it in the house. A lot of items got kind of left in there, and then every time I go in, I kind of have to like see how it's progressing, you know, how it's changed. The picture on the left is my mom and her brothers, and that's in the living room. And when I looked at this picture as a kid, I would look at it and be like, wow, we don't have those curtains anymore. They're so different. We have like blinds now. But now I can look at it and be like, wow, instead of curtains made of fabric, they're curtains made of plants. But right now, when I think about like this house is still there, I own the land, and it will be left to me at some point. So I'm thinking about the future and what it could be. I mean, I could be sad about like how it is now, but I'm thinking about what I can, you know, eventually it could be in the future. So that was a picture of the kitchen, and I don't know what happened to the refrigerator. There's still an air conditioner there if anybody needs one. I've been taking out a lot of the things inside because the house was actually built from wood from the railroad. So I've been taking out like pieces of the house, and then hopefully someday I'll make something from it. But now it's the new generation of my cousins and everything. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it. This is a picture of my aunt. This is my favorite pictures I've ever taken. Her in her living room, and all behind her is all the pictures of the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren. And I guess it's now left to us to figure out what it's going to be in the future. So.